our community sessions.
Great. Thank you for the invitation. Happy to be part of it. You've probably been hearing some about the things that we do already, because Chris and I work closely together on all of these things, and including what's on this main screen here with the Precision Sustainable Ag team. So I'm at Beltsville, Maryland, with USDA Agricultural Research Service, and my formal training is in agronomy, soil science, ecology, weed science. That's kind of the work we work in, but we're doing a lot of work with IoT systems on farm and on research stations, and a big emphasis all around coordinated research networks. And so Chris is going to be giving a real nice overview of our team that you can see here, the Precision Sustainable Ag team. So looking forward to hearing Chris and Paula spread the word.
Fantastic. Thank you and welcome. Great to have you join us. So today our presentation is from Chris and Paula on the FarmBeats work at NC State. And following that, we have Gluar, who is on the Cornell team, and Phoebe, who are going to talk about their idea for community interviews. And then we invited one of our team members in University Relations, Alex Vasquez, to join us just to talk a little bit about some of the Azure support we've been offering to some of the university researchers and faculty that we've been working with. So for any of you that are kind of getting into some of the more, I guess I could say, like Azure functionality, have questions about Azure, have students who are just getting up to speed, Alex is an amazing resource. So we wanted to give him a chance to introduce himself so you all could reach out to him in the future.
And I wanted to jump in. I'm really sorry, but Alex emailed this morning and he's not able to join today. He had an emergency come up, and so he is offline. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from Alex next month, or what I might be able to do is get some info from Alex that I can share with the group on the team site, and then he can join us in person at our next community meeting. So if you have any questions about Azure or anything in that area, you can shoot them my way, and then I can tee it up for Alex, who can answer those questions either virtually or in person next time. So Paula, feel free to take as much time as you want. So we've got a little bit of extra time with Alex not on today. We're excited to hear about what you have.
Perfect. Thanks, Stacy. And we'll turn it over to Chris and Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Sorry, I'm in via phone here, everyone. So first, I just want to reiterate there. I think I'm actually having to look back at my PowerPoint slide. If Paula, if you can advance when hopefully we haven't shifted order of events since I last looked at this. But I just want to reemphasize, this work is very much just a collaboration amongst a bunch of players, but that Stephen and I co-direct. And so you see our starting there is just some of we have subcontracts with 40 folks as we're doing a lot of this work. And if we go to the next slide, that really speaks to why we have been using so much IoT in our work now. So by this fall, we're going to be in 21 states, and with coordinated research protocols. I mean, it's taken us a while to grow to this point. But if we're going to make sense and have data with real quality control over that, we're really trying to eliminate human collected data wherever possible. Now, needless to say, when you're doing research, you got people out there conducting the experiments. You're always going to have some element of human collected data. We try to streamline that as much as possible. Everything that anyone takes data-wise, if it's human collected, it's going to be entered in via tablet, and there's a lot of validation and quality control exercise at that sort of tablet input level. But then wherever possible, our most core metrics we try to do that via IoT. So if we go to the next slide, you see this is PSA does multiple types of research. Certainly the part that I'm work most on is the on-farm trials. Stephen does more on the Common Experiment Station trials. The on-farm trials where me and Paula spend the bulk of our work on. And on-farm trial work, and many of y'all that have ever done that know that it carries a lot of strengths. It also carries a lot of tender points. And one of those is you cannot put a complicated treatment structures out there on farms. So we try to keep our treatment structures, and they have changed over the years, but we try to keep them very simple. And we try to let the farmers do things in a lot of ways the way they would normally do it. So right now we are running a cover crop trial, and we let them plant whatever species they want, whenever they want. We let them kill it however they want. And then all that we're really asking is that they do plant a cover crop, are familiar with planting cover crops, grow as much cover crop as possible, and that they don't disturb it when they plant their cash crop into it. And so it's a minimal till system. And then the what we do is really, it may be treatment poor, but if we go to the next slide, it's not protocol or metric poor. So we have a ton of protocols that are layered on top of this, because even though it may only seem like two treatments, bare ground no-till versus cover crop with high residue no-till, there's a lot of radical changes that can occur when you're doing something like that. And so changes in the water cycle, changes in the pest dynamics, changes in the nutrient cycling, those are the things we're studying, and there's where we're using a lot of our IoT systems. So if you're on the slide, Paula, with the shows the timeline there, it shows how the different disciplines have come together and deploy the protocols. We provide beta testing to every protocol developer across the network, and so they try to test with at least a couple of states. Sometimes a beta test will be 5 or 6 states. And then once it has proven that we're getting high quality data and that the folks on the ground in all of these states can actually implement it, then it's available to roll out to the whole network. And so that's what we're going to talk to you today. And I'll try to keep this short so we can have some speakers who can actually connect properly. Paula talk to you about it, because Paula has certainly been a lead developer of some of these technologies for the network. What we really do try to harness that from as wide an area and a group of researchers as possible. So this first one I'll intro is one that actually comes out of the Beltsville Research Station that Stephen is at there. He's got a colleague, Harry Schomburg, and Harry's technician, Alondra, who have developed a system for logging TDR water sensor data. So for those who are familiar, TDR data is considered some of the higher quality water sensing data. Also, more importantly, it can be, you can run TDRs without calibration. And given that we're on all of these sites, 140 locations, actually 170 next year, across every kind of soil type. Also, it changes every year. Those sensors don't stay in the same field year after year. They actually rotate fields. So it's 170 new fields every year. We needed something that we could run without calibration. And so to do that, Harry and Alondra came up with a system of logging that data. If we go to the next slide, a very simple system for using a LoRa network in the field to send that to a cellular gateway at the edge of the field. So there's one cellular gateway at every farm. It's collecting all the transmissions from the various data logging nodes in the field. Those nodes are logging data, mainly the TDR or water sensor data is the primary one we're after, which gives us 5 different data streams. But we do have at each site also a few other sensors out there, getting temperature, relative humidity as well for the location. And then where FarmBeats comes into this, we go to the, next slide was just a little bit of what the field installation of this looks like. We like to think of IoT as install them and forget them. We never quite achieve that in reality. You can see a little bit there. We have to move solar panels around as crops grow and deal with some of those complexities, but still we are streaming hourly data to the web from all of this. If you look at our data flow next year, you can see just the general architecture of what we're doing. And then for this device, I think what you'll hear between these devices and then Paula's other ones that she'll present to you today is just we have a variety of ways in which we get to FarmBeats in the end. So we're very interested in FarmBeats connectivity for being able to use our data in overall in the machine learning pipeline there. We're also very interested in that we think that growers we think FarmBeats will be a success with growers. We hear a lot of exhaustion from farmers about going to a dashboard for this sensor and to a different dashboard for that sensor. And so the desire to have one place to go and check a variety of sensors is very appealing to them. And so we're excited to test that with our devices as well. So for this first device here, we actually, we're using a hologram as the SIM card provider. And so we send all of our data first to the hologram servers, and then Paula has written a translator function there that then pushes the data into FarmBeats. So that's the integration so far, because that was quick and dirty for what we are doing. But you'll hear we have a deeper integration on some other devices. And then lastly, I'll just end with there's a couple slides there showing, one of the reasons we do all this is the growers, and one of the ways we motivate the growers to stay involved in our network is providing data back to them in real time. There's nothing that gets growers more excited than being able to see data from their fields. And so we maintain graphs of a number of different protocols that are being shown to the grower, and we like to say that they're shown to the grower at the same time as the researcher. We're all learning together at the same rate of speed, and so we built out a number of dashboards for those farmers. I'll stop there and turn it over to you, Paula, talk about the next IoT system.
Thank you, Chris. Can you hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will talk about different IoT systems that we are creating in the project. So the first one is the stress cam. I told you about the stress cam, I think some weeks ago. But this camera is tiny, a smart camera, low-cost camera. And the idea is to obtain this kind of images in the field. It's a time-lapse sequence of images. So we can detect, applying machine learning algorithms, the water stress in the field. We are working now with soybean, corn, and we are planning to work in cotton as well. So with the information that we take in the field, we can create different annotations in the plantations. So we can assign different score with the water stress in the plants. With this information, we create different machine learning algorithms, and we have different ways to work with the camera. One is process information inside of the board, embedded. Also, we can push the images in the cloud and process the information with a machine learning algorithm in the cloud. This is one approach that we have right now with the IoT system. Also, we need to work more in the connectivity of the camera because, in the field, we don't have enough connection with the cloud. So we are looking for different solutions to connect the camera to the cloud. The camera itself has like a board, Wi-Fi board, and it's possible to connect very easy with Wi-Fi. Also, we are planning to put like a cell phone board or TVY spaces, use TVY spaces radios to work with the camera in the field. Another integration that we are looking in FarmBeats is also the WITS 3D. The idea with this project is to have the possibility to see the weeds in the field, detect the species that we are looking, and also estimate the biomass and mapping the weeds in the field. We have different approaches to get this objective. But this is the first one, using something that the name is instruction for motion. With a simple video, it's possible to create a point cloud of the area and detect the volume of the plant. Also, we have different approaches here. We can obtain the volume in a simple bounding box, Or also we can detect the leaves and count the leaves and estimate the biomass through the different indexes as leaf area index, for example. We are using right now a simple camera, adventure camera with a tablet, and we are creating the software to process the images. Also, we are taking a video, but we split the video in different frames. And with these different frames, we can reconstruct the cloud of points. So these two approaches has something similar, are using images, also are using some part of the cognitive services or machine learning stuff. So our big picture right now with these three different systems that we are showing today, we have this diagram. The width 3D that we have in the stress cam using images. We want to digest the information to FarmBeats using different storage, like a blob storage or something like that. Right now, the system is working properly with the stress cam. We are pushing a lot of images every 15 minutes of the stress cam in FarmBeats integration that we have with USDA. With the width 3D, the idea is to pre-process the video in the farm device. Could be a computer or could be a tablet or cell phone. The idea is to select some frames for the video and only send these frames to the cloud. Also, with the FarmBeats, we know that we need to integrate different services from Azure as cognitive services. I'm talking about computer vision algorithms to process the video or the frames in the width 3D. Also, the data analytics with machine learning stuff using the images with the stress cam. For the soil moisture sensors, we have, as Chris told us, we are using cellular connections and we are using hologram, but we need to put this message first in Azure to differentiate different devices and register them and send the data to FarmBeats directly. So after that, we can push the data in FarmBeats, also apply data analytics with a machine learning style that we can create. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. That's really great. Does anybody have any questions about the work that Paula or Chris have talked about at NC State?
I have one with the Weeds 3D. So you're processing that on a tablet or a edge device, and then sending just specific images up to FarmBeats. Are you doing so app at FarmBeats is where you're doing that point cloud, or is that done on the edge device?
The idea is in the device, we can pre-process the information, only split the frames, and we can push the images into FarmBeats and integrate the reconstruction and computer vision algorithms in the cloud. You know, we need to split the activities here. One part is in the farm device and another part is in the in FarmBeats in Azure.
Oh, okay, cool. I'd love to chat with you some more about it. I'm actually doing something with AI image identification where I'm doing some processing on the edge using AI, and then if the confidence level is too low, then I send more. Using Azure Edge, I do some, and then if it needs more horsepower, it goes up to AI Vision Azure.
Right. Yes. Let me know whenever you want.
Okay.
Any other questions for Paula or Chris, or maybe Stephen, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I thought they did a lovely job at representing the body of work and some of our data flow. So it's lovely.
Great, thanks.
I forgot to mention too, Stephen's going to talk on our slide about protocols. One of them is the forage box. And I think that's an interesting one that'll capture, at the end, how we're intending to use the machine learning in the cloud within FarmBeats. And so, Stephen, have you got a date for that? You're going to be presenting that to the group sometime soon?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that when Stacy wanted to schedule that, she would let me know which date. So I haven't been coming to this meeting historically. We've been meeting with FarmBeats staff and Ranveer and parts of the government cloud folks for a while now on a number of initiatives, and Chris and Paula presented a bunch of those. So we interface with you guys a fair bit, but I figured when you guys wanted us to talk about this other venture, we'd be happy to do it.
Great. Well, we wanted to give you a little bit of break this time since it's your first meeting, but if you're available for the discussion in August, we can make sure and put you on the agenda for that, and I can work with you offline to see how much time you think you might need to talk through it.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our next topic then. We had Gluar from Cornell. He is a PhD student there working with Hakeem and some of the other folks at Cornell, and he has a project that he wanted to work on with this community. And I know he had wanted to be here initially. We were going to meet last week and he was available. He's not available to be here this week, but he did record a quick video about what he wants to do, and Hakeem is going to present it, and then either Hakeem or Phoebe, singers from Cornell, will talk about what it is that Gluar wants to do. So Hakeem, do you want to introduce the video and talk about the work a little bit?
Yeah, great. I think I'm sharing a screen. Can you guys see Gluar?
Yes, we can see him.
Okay, yeah. So he recorded a video. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here today. He was traveling, and it doesn't matter. But he will follow up. So I'll play the video, and then afterwards, I or Phoebe will answer any questions. Okay. So let's get this started. Huh. Doesn't seem to be playing. I should just press play, correct?
Yeah, you should be able to. Let me look. I have a copy of the video too. Let me see if I have any better luck getting to it.
Yeah, let me stop sharing and try one more time. I downloaded it, so it should have worked.
Yeah.
Try one more time.
Good morning.
Okay, so I do have it here. I don't know if it will let me share it. Let me see if this will work. Okay, can you see my screen now with Gluar?
Yes, I can.
Let me try to play this and see if this comes through. Let me know if you can hear it okay.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on the time zone. Hi everyone, I'm Gluar Rubangiza. I'm a rising third-year PhD student in computer science with a minor in information science at Cornell University. My research falls at the intersection of systems, networking, and human-computer interaction. So in that vein, I work with the FarmBeats ecosystem. And on the networking and system side, I'm working on a project related to detecting water stress in plants to determine the right amount of irrigation and the right time of irrigation. And on the information science side, the social science side, I'm interested in the social impact or implications of designing, building, and deploying various computing systems to communities. So why am I talking to you today? Well, you represent a community of lead users of FarmBeats. And your experiences right now will influence the design decisions and potential deployment that affects FarmBeats in the future. Versus I myself, too, I'm a lead user of FarmBeats at Cornell. Like, we're deploying a few sensor boxes at the moment and the entire ecosystem, and I'm learning a lot just from talking with the support team at Microsoft like too sure on the hardware side. There's so much to learn about the system itself and like what type of assumptions went into designing it. So what I'm trying to say is, as a lead user, you have first-rate support from Microsoft in trying to deploy the system. And where you have pain points and any assumptions that you make in building on top of FarmBeats, these like assumptions and pain points that you probably communicate to Microsoft are incorporated into the fabric of FarmBeats. So what we're doing, the research that we're doing is on FarmBeats as a computing platform. If you think about it, FarmBeats doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists as part of infrastructure. So like when you try to set up a FarmBeats sensor box, it needs batteries. And if you deploy this in a rural area, are these batteries, is it accessible? If you're trying to connect the whole ecosystem to the internet runs on electricity, and some of the equipment itself, like the computer, runs on electricity. What I'm trying to say is FarmBeats is not only a technical product, it's also a social product. And as a product, how we deploy it will likely have social effects in the community in which it's deployed. For instance, like recently in our last few community meetings, we heard from Andrew Nelson, who told us about his deployment in Washington. And one thing he mentioned is that he had to negotiate with his neighbors about where to place the networking equipment that he's deploying at his farm for optimum coverage of the farm. This is a social interaction that like they have to negotiate how this infrastructure is going to exist in their shared space. Another one is a recent example I'm actually thinking of is like there's been a new partnership, exciting new partnership between Microsoft and Land O'Lakes. Land O'Lakes is one of the largest farming co-ops in the United States. And what's exciting is that now we're able to bring reliable internet via airband to rural areas thanks to TV white space technology and all of that. But then this brings up questions like, how will this infrastructure be managed if we're giving it to a cooperative of farmers? So like, who will be in charge of what part of the system? Like, who will be in charge of the airband radios and so on? So our research pretty much what we're doing is we're trying to anticipate the social impact that FarmBeats will have, so that for any design decisions at the moment that can, like any design decision that we can change the course of how the product is going into, then we will do so. But for those that fall under the, let's say, the too late category, then this may serve for us to give future organizations that are trying to get into this space and build technologies for digital agriculture some recommendations of this is what we've learned from the past. So to reiterate again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what works. Like as a lead user, what has worked for you so far in deploying FarmBeats, what doesn't, and more importantly, how you've co-opted or modified FarmBeats to make it work for you in your particular use case. So we're talking about the design of FarmBeats versus how it's actually used in practice. I too have been working, like I said, with FarmBeats, deploying it at Cornell, and there have been instances where I'm like, really like just, wow, this is really amazing technology, like being able to establish a path from sensing the environment all the way to the Azure cloud. But then there's moments where I'm just wondering, like, for example, like, how is it that in hooking up a sensor to a sensor box, I must screw clockwise to loosen the wire or screw counterclockwise to tighten it. This goes against my intuition that I grew up with, where like we were taught righty-tighty for tightening and lefty-loosey for loosening. That's the opposite for farming. These are maybe minor things, but as a technology user, as design decisions, these things will matter to the user experience and potential adoption of FarmBeats. So in talking to you as the lead users, your thoughts at this critical stage that we're designing and deploying FarmBeats for lead users, it can help us anticipate the future social impact as FarmBeats become a household name. So if you think about it, your understanding and vision of what FarmBeats will be and what you view rural life as will influence what you build on top of FarmBeats, and these will be used by regular people in remote areas. So what we're asking for here is we're asking for your participation. And the way we would do that is you participate in an hour-long interview with myself or another team member of our research team at Cornell. the big takeaway here is that the more people that we have participate, for example, faculty, research staff, support staff, students, or in the case of Andrew Nelson, farmers who are technically inclined, then that gives us a wide array of experiences with FarmBeats, and the richer context that we can have, that will also inform our insights for the future of FarmBeats. So to kind of recap what I just talked about, what we're trying to do as research is we're trying to anticipate the social impact in the experiences of lead FarmBeats users. And that way we can be able to change anything we can right now, what is possible, or inform design recommendations for the future based on what we've learned today. And I would like to thank you for your time and consideration of our request to participate in this study. And now I will leave it up to Hakeem and or Phoebe as my faculty advisors to take any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this study. All right, thank you. And
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Hakeem or Phoebe to continue.
All right, thank you. So that was Guari's a PhD student, as he noted, and he's doing a study of you and how you guys are employing FarmBeats, the designs that you're creating. Like you said, your experiences, what works, what doesn't work, how you've had to modify things. Also, he said, the wows, the cool tech, but also the what the heck's, what's going on. So the ask then is really up to a half hour of your time for an interview over the next month. He'd like to complete those interviews of each of you guys, or at least one or two members or whatnot per team over next month, and then be able to report back on his analysis and results the following month. So it'd be a couple month study for this. And so I think Phoebe's here as well. Phoebe, would you like to maybe introduce yourself, and then we could take questions?
Yes, thank you. My name is Phoebe Sangers. I'm a colleague of Hakeem at Cornell. My specialty is in technology design and social impacts of technology. So I've been working with Hakeem and Guar on the development of this study. And we're doing a longer term project around social impact of farm networking technology. And in this particular study, we're really focused on lead users' experiences and the ways in which you may already be able to anticipate how these technologies might be picked up later on, the kinds of challenges you're facing on the ground then. And as Hakeem said, also the wows, the things that are working really well, help us to think a little bit more into the future about how these kinds of technologies might affect practice eventually. So we really appreciate your participation.
Do you know how long the surveys are intended to take when he meets with someone? It sounded like maybe about an hour of their time. Is that about right?
Yeah, I'd say 30 to 60 minutes. So if you don't have an hour, you can definitely still participate.
And it sounded like he was interested in talking with folks from lots of different parts of the programs that you're working on. So
that's right.
How do you want the contact to happen? Do you want to reach out to people that you want the folks to reach out to people that they think might be interested and then email you directly? Or how would you like them to get in touch with you or Gloire for the survey?
Gloire is going to be sending out an email to the group and asking for participants, so then you can respond to that email and pick it up. And yes, if you can recruit people from your team, from different areas of your team, that would be wonderful. That would be huge help.
Okay, and then it sounded like he wanted to follow up with the team either next month if he has time, or the following month if he needs more time to pull the study together to share the results. So it won't just be you've done this survey and thanks very much and not hear anything. We do want to have Gloire team come back and talk about the results.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we'll be reporting back and letting people know how things look like at a higher level. So it can be a nice way to kind of reflect on your experiences and also see how those compare the experiences of other people who are working with the technology now.
I think it's really interesting the way he's trying to combine the work that's being done here, the technology and agriculture, and also the social sciences, those more personal interactions, because they're not really things that you think about very often. So being able to focus on that and provide some insight, I think would be really valuable.
That's what we hope.
Does anyone else have any questions for Hakeem or Phoebe, or did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I just thank everybody in advance for their willingness to participate and respond to the call. And if you do have any questions, let us know. But you should see an email pretty soon.
Okay, great. And then if you can include me on that too, I'll make sure we forward it out to the team internally here. And if there's anyone else we can think of that might be a good match for what he's trying to do, I can forward that on.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, if there's no other questions, the next subject we were going to talk about was an introduction to Alex. And as I mentioned, he wasn't able to join us today. He had an emergency. He was pulled away at the last minute. But Alex is a good resource on the team to help with any Azure questions that you might have. He's also good with Power BI and dashboards, and just basic analytics tools are things that Alex would be able to help with. So if you're struggling with any of those areas, you can let me know, and we'll kind of put those on a list for things that we should have Alex talk about, and we can either just have him come and spend a few minutes at this meeting, or maybe we'll put together some smaller videos on different subjects so you can just pick and choose from those that you're interested in learning more about. And he can also work with folks directly if there's any issues that you're having there. So think about that, if there's things that you're interested in learning more about. And then also for our next meeting coming up at the end of August, I know we heard from a couple folks that there were some schedule conflicts. I think Dennis, I see that you're online. You had mentioned that over the next couple months, there's something coming up that might be causing scheduling issues. Is that just for your folks, or is that something, is that a...
I hope it would be of interest to many. And so thanks for the reminder. Let me, as soon as I'm done talking, because I can't talk and do something at the same time. As soon as I'm done talking, I'll go fetch the URL and put it in the chat.
Oh, great.
But there is a conference coming up in September, so it'll conflict with the September meeting, which is Unlocking the Agricultural Data Revolution. And probably some of us on this call are involved with that. Actually, there is a webinar at this moment that is one of a series that leads up to that conference. And so there is another one of those webinars when we meet next. And actually, Aaron Alt, who would have presented today had there not been a tragic accident in the family, he would present next month, but he is presenting in that webinar series. Anyway, the conference in September 24 and 25, it's a virtual conference. You're all encouraged and invited. I'll go fetch the URL and put it in chat. Encourage participation. And then, so I guess it's really a group decision if there are enough that might be interested in the webinar that's during the August 27 meeting. Maybe we shift it by an hour or something like that, but that's entirely up to you. So anyway, that's that.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you want to share out the URLs for those, and then we can, or I will reach out to the group and kind of take a survey of participation in the webinar and the conference, and we can adjust either the day or the time of the meeting to accommodate. So we can hear from Aaron, we can hear from Alex next month, and maybe we can hear from Stephen on those topics. But if there's other things that you're interested in hearing about or including at other community meetings going on, you can just shoot that to me or Elizabeth, or you can share it in the team site, and then we can try to pull the right people together to speak on those topics.
So I was trying to figure out how to message you directly, Stacy, and I couldn't in Teams. I can see the chat to everyone, but
oh, that's good.
I always have a navigation hiccup. But regarding Aaron's presentation, we had some communication here. We'll probably have that as a recorded message, recorded presentation that everyone could watch ahead of time. And then Andrew and I might be able to field questions, or at least collect a stack of questions that might be more technical back to Aaron. But even if he can't attend this meeting, we'll still have a recording of the presentation he would have given. So we'll work that direction.
All right, great. Then we have about 15 minutes left. Does anyone have any topics that they want to cover that wasn't on the agenda, or any questions or things that we want to work through this month?
So Stacy, this is Ranveer. I was wondering if, hi everyone. I was wondering if it makes sense to just give a quick update on what we are doing with Land O'Lakes, and like we announced a partnership with DTN yesterday. So I could give a quick update on that and where we are headed so that everyone is up to date. So would that work, Stacy?
Yeah, of course, that would be great.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we did, as many of you saw, we did publicly announce our partnership with Land O'Lakes. We have been working with them for a few years now, mostly when FarmBeats was in research. We did deploy things at Land O'Lakes. We've been partnering with them on different fronts. Personally, I've been working with them since 2015. And through the partnership, we essentially, this is a strategic partnership we announced, which is a multi-year agreement where Land O'Lakes is working with Microsoft as its core technology partner. All its and it is structured around 3 pillars. One is around digitization, that is Land O'Lakes digital technologies would be built on Azure using FarmBeats and other technologies. Like, for example, its Winfield products would be using FarmBeats. It's similarly Truterra. It's also digital. We are building a digital dairy platform with Land O'Lakes, which is essentially combining all the different dairy management products that exist into one digital dairy platform so that a grower can take more informed decisions. It includes things like IoT and Edge, where we have cameras in barns doing compute on the edge and streaming this to the cloud, and then merging different data streams, some on the farm and in the cloud. Imagine FarmBeats, but for dairy, right? And that's the kind of thing we are building with them as well, with focus around transparency, for example, for milk, also around sustainability. That's how do you encourage dairy producers to be using sustainable agricultural practices. So that's on the digitization side. A lot of it is on FarmBeats. We are with their digital products, leveraging the data collection and AI that FarmBeats provides. The second pillar is around Airband. What we are doing there is working with Land O'Lakes to bridge the rural connectivity gap. So we are already through Airband, we have already been doing deployments of rural areas, but with Land O'Lakes, we have now working together on Land O'Lakes Partner Network. These are ag retailers who are present throughout the US, who could be hosting antennas on their sites, on their grain silos, and leveraging TV white spaces and other technologies to provide this rural connectivity. For example, in the time of COVID, we worked with Land O'Lakes to set up 100 hotspots very quickly in different parts of rural America. The third pillar in the partnership is around sustainability. What we are doing there is Land O'Lakes has a Truterra platform through which they aggregate data from farms and come up with a sustainability metric. And that, again, we are leveraging FarmBeats. We are leveraging some new tech we've built called SpaceEye and helping them use AI models to come up with a sustainability, essentially the carbon value of how much carbon is sequestered per acre. Mostly focused on broad acre, but you can also see how this would translate to dairy producers as well, to come up with some emissions metric for dairy producers. So those are the 3 key pillars that we are working on with Land O'Lakes, and of course, we are super excited about what kind of impact we can drive for Microsoft or a technology company. We need these partnerships. For example, with USDA, with Stephen Mirsky, with Mike Buser and team with ARS, we are doing some strategic work on the research side, and this takes it to the growers, all the way to the growers, working with Land O'Lakes. We also announced another partnership this week. This was with Pepsi Co. So with Pepsi Co, that's a much broader partnership, because with Pepsi Co, it's not just agriculture. It's also a lot of it is retail, logistics, and a lot of it, but it also includes agriculture, in particular potato farmers worldwide. And we are again leveraging FarmBeats and other technologies to be able to provide better advisories to potato farmers in different parts of the world. And just yesterday, we announced another partnership. This one was with DTN. DTN provides weather and weather-related insights. And DTN is also, we announced a partnership that DTN is integrated with FarmBeats. So now if you're using FarmBeats, you can start pulling in weather from DTN and then start integrating with satellite data, sensor data, and all the things that we're looking at here to start providing insights on top. So we are super excited about all these partnerships that we're doing. At some point, we'd love to include all the work that you all are doing as part of that, right? As part of when we talk publicly about it, about how it's not just partnering with companies on where things are, but showing them what the future could look like. So this is, yeah, super excited about that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Ranveer about the partnerships or the work that we're doing with those different groups? Maybe we can learn more about the detail of that in one of the future meetings or in the team site. We'll include links. I know Elizabeth already included a link over in the chat. If you don't have that open, you can see that there.
Yeah, it was very exciting to see Satya and Beth on CNN talk about this and talk about FarmBeats and how that was one of the reasons Beth decided to have Analytics decided to partner with us. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, if there's no other questions on that, I know that Dennis Buckmaster had another topic he wanted to touch on really quickly today. They had a question about some TV white space ideas. Dennis, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. And Andrew, you can either get ready to maybe share your screen or I can too with this map that you generated this morning. But he and I had connected yesterday. We're thinking about the white space deployment here at Purdue, both in narrowband and wideband settings, I guess you'd say, or conditions, whatever. And part of the FCC license question was, well, how high, at what height are you going to put your antenna, et cetera? And so we got thinking through that. And so I'm just going to propose the idea. And Andrew, if you want to share your screen, that would be great. You can talk about it more specifically. But one of the ideas we had was actually putting the wideband antenna on what we call a gantry, which is near our sort of the headquarters of the Agronomy Center for Research and Education. But instead of putting it at 100, 200 feet on a tower, we would simply put it at a height that almost every farm would have available through a rooftop or something like that. So actually, I just lied there. We will put the wideband sort of base station on the roof of a building. But then nearby is this gantry, and it's the hyperspectral imaging gantry that Jian Jin has built and has been using. It will help him solve his data flow problems because he's got a tremendous amount of data that still, instead of installing a point-to-point Wi-Fi or wire because of the paved road, every once in a while the student goes up to climbs the gantry and fetches the data. So anyway, we're thinking about sort of a relatively low height deployment of both the wideband and the narrowband. And then just to see how good is the reach across ACRE, the Agronomy Center for Research and Education, and can we reach the nearby Animal Science Research and Education Center, sort of the animal science farm that's just a couple miles away. Like we will now be able to sort of test the reach. And anyway, so that's my introduction. Maybe Andrew, you can explain it in a little more detail and pose the specific questions you wanted to ask this group, and maybe Ranveer and Andrew Nelson can give us very pointed answers. So.
Andrew Bomos, did you want to share? Or, I don't know. Sorry.
That is his screen we're seeing.
Muted, it looks like.
This is Andrew's screen.
Yeah, Andrew, it looks like you're muted. I don't know if you're trying to share.
I'm sorry about that. I know Teams like disappeared when I started sharing my screen and I couldn't figure out how to unmute. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
We can hear you, but we lost the screen.
You lost the screen?
I see the screen.
Yep.
I see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing the forest.
Oh, that's funny. I can see the farm the screen he's sharing with the map.
Okay, well, go ahead. For some reason, I was seeing a forest.
So yeah, I think like Mr. kind of said it all. I guess we're just trying to understand what we can do here. I think we have a lot of interest in looking at the narrowband and the wideband part of TV wide spaces and how that might apply to an actual, I'm not saying actual, but like a production farm and how they might use it. So we have our sort of research farm kind of correlated or very close to ASREC, which is sort of operates more like a traditional farm in a lot of sense. And so we're kind of in this cool position where we can sort of combine some of our research activities with maybe also analyzing how maybe the ASREC guys would use it. So I guess really what we're asking for is just some help navigating how do we get it so that these radios are here and doing this, and maybe any thoughts on trying to avoid, large towers and installing them maybe on something smaller, just going towards sort of something more practical.
Do you have any like, grain or seed storage there too, or not? Because, lots of farmers have those storage.
And some grain bins. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, at least on my farm, most of my structures, those are the tallest structures I have. Or if you could have something that has like the average height of that, that would make it more practical in terms of producers, and it's not that hard to mount something on those.
Yeah.
I think one of for me, when I think about that is like, it's always the same problem. Sort of like we can find tall things, but then there's not internet there.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, like in this scenario where if we put the white space station on the building, this building's probably taller than a typical house, but we're maybe getting something closer to like, the farmer might have high-speed internet out to his house, or something we call high-speed internet or shop. Yeah. And can you make it so it's, almost trivial to just, put this box here and now you have, what would that look like?
Yeah, so I have mine I have my wideband TV white space mounted to my shop, just to the upper eave of it. So it's about 20 feet up is all. And even with my hills, that provides decent coverage. Not perfect, but decent enough to where I can find spots where I can connect to that wideband TV white space. And then my narrow band, I actually ended up using a off the shelf TV antenna mast for, like if somebody were to put up a TV antenna for their house. Sure. And that one goes up 30 feet. It's pretty easy to mount and put guy wires on, everything together. I think we got the cost under $150 for that. And it's just a channel master antenna mast. And, I mounted the narrowband antenna on the top of it. And then my box is at about 6 feet on it. Because that way, my wire wasn't insanely long going up to my antenna. So I'm not having as much loss that way.
Sure.
So that is
that was a pretty practical solution. You can put it near your house, and some houses, have old ones that they still have up from using more local TV channels and stuff like that.
Sure.
2 or 3 that we get. But that worked out pretty well for me, and I've had to move it once or twice even, and that's not that difficult with the machinery, kind of typical farmer machinery that we have. We have a small mid-sized tractor with a bucket, and that was more than easy enough to move it. So.
Oh, it's interesting. I never think you can get it up 20, 30 feet. That's not that hard, probably, I guess. The product's out there because of TV channels.
Yeah, yeah. And I could, I think I still have what model I use, but I can I'll put a link in here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
One I ended up getting. I just got it from Walmart. Anything special.
I know we're getting close to time. Does anyone else have any questions or comments they want to make on this topic? Or maybe we should include it next time to talk more about it?
Sure, that would be fine to me.
Yeah, okay. And we can also meet offline if we want to set up some other time just to talk specifically about this, work with Andrew if he's willing to share some of his knowledge.
Yeah, and that was very helpful, just those comments. Yep, good,
Super.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, well, I want to just wrap it up. Thanks everybody for their time. Everything that we talked about today, just tons of information, and I thought we were going to have a shorter meeting today because we lost a couple participants, but I think we ended up getting a lot of really good content. And as usual, I'll put this recording out on the YouTube channel and I'll share a link, and you can forward that to anyone in your organization that you think would be interested. And again, if you can think of any topics that you're interested in for next time or over the coming months, shoot them to me and we'll look to find the right resources. All right, well, thanks everybody for your time. Thanks to the presenters.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Great day.
All right, we'll talk to you next time.